Phil Neville has some questions, especially regarding how are the playoffs gonna be played. Inter Miami's head coach, not really thrilled with the way this topic has been handled. Here's his quote: "We're 6 days, 7 days out from the first game of the season. We don't know the playoff format. I think that's poor when you're talking about professionalism and elite." One of our players asked one of the MLS guys, "What's the playoff system?" And they were like, "We don't know." And I'm like, that's not elite. You're talking about differences between the UK and the US. We talked about the intensity of the fans. It's a big difference. And we've planned the whole season, and we actually don't know when the season ends and how many games we've got after the regular season. My question is, who's figuring it out? Is it Apple? Who's wagging the dog? Man, that shots fired, Herc. That is it, Apple. I believe it was just a fantastic quote by Neville. Now, is the criticism justified by Phil Neville?
Absolutely. He mentioned it's poor, it lacks elite, it's amateur hour. That's really what it is. Who's wagging the dog? It's a damning statement. Yeah. Like, who's leading who here? Yeah. Who's calling the shots is what he's asking. Is it the league office or is it Apple? Now, that's a valid question. Is it Apple? And if it is Apple, how much of a say should Apple have? Apple's coughing up $250 million a year. $250 million a year. They want to recoup that in some way. How do you do that? Well, games that you can televise. It is amateur hour if you expect these players, these teams to play a best-of-3 series. These rumors we've been hearing about. First round, best of 3. It's trying to Americanize the world's game in the most negative type of way. When people abroad see this, hear this, look at this, it justifies every negative thought they had about Americans in the game, when really it's businessmen trying to make money. Yeah. It's an insult to the fan and how sophisticated they are today to believe that they would be okay with this, to the players and the players' union, and to people like Phil Neville. Because when you start a game, let's take a board game, for example. What's the most important thing to know? The rules and regulations. Well, the circumstances surrounding said things.
Play Clue when you cheat playing Clue.
Everything. Everything. You need to know what you're getting into. And listen, season starts this weekend.
He's right, number one. A lot of people are taking the "is it Apple" quote, right, in a very, very serious manner. I wouldn't be as shocked. And I know friends at Major League Soccer don't like to hear what I'm about to say, but I mean, I have to say it. Other leagues like the NFL, MLB, do listen to networks, right? Broadcasters regarding playoff formats. Of course that happens. They're paying a lot of money to broadcast those games. Of course they have a say. So it doesn't scare me if it's Apple considering the playoff format. What it doesn't make any sense is that at this hour, we don't have a resolution. That the fact that teams do not know, that this doesn't happen in MLB or NFL, right? 6 days before the season starts, they know how the playoff format is gonna look like. That's, as Phil Neville said, that's poor and that is not elite and it's not fair. It's not fair for teams, players, managers that they do not know. And I know that the playoffs are months away from today. But that's just not the way it should go down. That's not the way how serious leagues, elite competitions work. How have you not resolved this? I don't understand. I don't get it.
It's a circus for the players. It's a circus for the families, for the coaching staffs. That should be the bare minimum. Just know the skeleton. Just know start and end. Playoff start, playoff end. The format and how we'll go, especially for a coach like Phil Neville, for many years, his first couple years at Inter, was complaining about needing a certain type of player that would be physically fit enough for the demands of playing in Southern Florida. Now imagine adding extra games to that calendar on top of his worry.
I mean, that's a different conversation, right? Whether you like or dislike the proposed format of best of 3 for the first round.
Oh, you're telling me that Apple may have a say in it, so...
And I don't have a problem. Do you have a problem with Apple having a say in it?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because you can have a...
Networks have a say in
on
everything
the day,
that happens.
On the time, sure, but not on the amount of games in a series when it comes to a sport that doesn't do games in a series.
That happens in every league here in the States.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
ESPN has a say in the playoff format.
And that's the problem.
Why is it a problem?
For football, for soccer. That is the problem. Because you're talking about baseball, you're talking about basketball. Imagine if a network came in and told the NFL, hey, you should do a best-of-3 series in the playoffs.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's not going to happen in the future.
It will
right?
never happen.
Football is a different animal because of the contact at the way things go down. What I'm saying is, I have zero problem with Apple having conversations with the league regarding the format.
I don't think there's a problem with conversation.
Zero.
I don't think there's a problem with conversation.
Well,
that's okay.
The problem is who's making the final decision.
That's the problem.
Who do you think is making the final decision?
Major League Soccer. I've got no doubts that they're smart enough to, but this leaves a lot to be desired when you're days away from the kickoff.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw the Toronto Galaxy game. The picture looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
So congrats to our friends in the broadcast booth, to our friends in production. It looked very good.
Good stuff.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.